Welcome to the AA Podcast, our little corner of the web where we are not afraid to discuss tough questions like,
when did nutrition, health, movement, and stress management become alternative medicine?
Where we embrace challenges in all aspects of life to become healthier and stronger versions of ourselves.
And where food and movement are the best kinds of medicine, and cooking meals at home is a revolutionary act.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the AA Podcast. This is Ashley Olson.
And I'm Andrea Crane.
We are excited to have you back once again for another episode. And before we dive into today's topic of fitness devices and are they even worth the investment and all that, we will be sharing our weekly Bible verse. And mine is coming from John 14:6, and it says, Jesus said to him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
All right, buckle in, people. Mine is Hebrews 1 through 3. So long ago, many times and in many ways, God spoke to our fathers by the prophets. But in these last days, he has spoken to us by his Son, whom he appointed the heir of all things, through whom also he created the world. He is the radiance of the glory of God and the exact imprint of his nature. And he upholds the universe by the word of his power. After making purification for sins, he sat down at the right hand of the Majesty on high.
Woo!
Woo!
Amen.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Y'all are dismissed.
Just those are good. Well, so today is kind of just about fitness trackers, and
It's Ashley Day.
yes, so hopefully you are still going to tune in.
Mm.
But no, so fitness trackers, Andrea. Let's see, which one do you use?
Okay, so I have just like a cheap little Fitbit that kind of
Yeah,
doubles as a watch, and yeah, that's what I have.
and yours basically does like the time. If you did a workout, it would track that
It would, yeah.
steps.
It
You don't
it
like get.
syncs. It syncs to my phone. I don't love that piece of it. Like I literally just wanted something to count steps, but they don't really make that anymore in a wearable, cute thing. Like you could put something in your pocket, but that's really kind of dumb. And so, yeah, I ended up having to get a watch, which I actually like the watch design. But yeah, it'll do heart rate, which I kind of dig that.
Mhm.
And it does lots of stuff that I don't use.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I have a Apple Watch. I've had that for I don't even know. I should have kind of looked at that. I've probably had one
Oh,
for the last
5 years, I bet.
oh yeah,
Oh,
longer than that.
maybe. Oh gosh,
Oh,
maybe like
probably the last 10.
6. What? No,
Yeah.
you didn't. No, because you got your first one when I met you,
Oh,
and yeah. In fact, you probably had it about 7.
okay. Well, there you go. 7 or
Yeah,
8 years maybe ago.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've liked it. I so when I first got it, I had every notification turned
Mm-hmm.
on that thing. And then within the last year, I have turned off literally all notifications except
Mm,
certain people that text me. And then calendar, I do like that one because it buzzes me for my client sessions. And
mm-hmm.
then I use it for my workout tracking. And then I
Mm.
also, this last year, my husband gifted me an Aura ring. And
Oh,
we'll get into that, but
I never
I
knew that.
am obsessed with it. So
Okay.
there's so many different trackers out there. Like obviously we just named the Fitbit, the Apple Watch, there's the Aura,
Mm-hmm.
there's Garmin's, there's the Whoop. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there are so many. Most of them are either like a wrist worn
Mm-hmm.
device or a ring. There are certain ones that like devices that you can attach like a heart rate strap around
Oh
the
yeah.
chest to.
Yeah, they'll
Um,
do EKGs too. So I kind of like that. I think, if you're kind of an anxious person, you probably shouldn't have one of those, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So kind of going, a little deep dive on their accuracy and
Mm,
if they
yes.
are worth, you know, holding a lot of weight or credit to them.
Mhm.
is so with how science works, and it is getting better. So I
Yeah.
do think over time these devices are going to get even more accurate in as much as they can as being on a wrist or a finger.
Mhm.
But a lot of the algorithms is based on a male physiology. So
Uh,
on average, uh, men have slightly lower resting heart rates. So when you have these devices that are tracking and using their algorithm to
mm.
determine calories or effort or even steps. Like Christian and I can literally do the exact same workout or go on the exact same hike, and our data is dramatically different. And so,
Do you get fewer steps than he does?
yeah,
Okay, okay. Girl, that
yeah,
explains so much. So, Ken he gets like thousands more steps.
yes,
Even if we are basically together all day, he will be like, "Oh, how many steps you got?" And I have so many fewer than he does. Okay, that explains a whole lot.
yeah. So it's
Okay.
these are based on a male,
Mhm.
you know, body. So like
Yeah.
if yeah, so there's a discrepancy, and it's probably not I don't know. It's I think down below I have it like 20 or 30% discrepancy, which over time is quite a bit.
Oh, that's
So
huge.
so
Yeah.
if you're looking at it, you're like, "Holy crap, I didn't burn that many calories, and my male counterpart burned like triple the amount of
Mhm.
calories in the same amount of time, and our workouts were exactly the same."
Yep.
There's a reason. Obviously, their body, composition is different. Obviously, their body mass is typically larger, but you could literally take a female and a male that weigh the exact same or relatively the
Mhm.
same height, and it would still be dramatically different as far as what the watch or the device is going to record.
Right.
So, that's a big thing, and so
Mhm.
you have to understand that these these watches and they're a tool, and we'll get down to that, but you just have to know that they're based on a male physiology. So
Mhm.
so those come into play when we're talking about body fat percentage, basal
Mm.
metabolic rate, your
Mhm.
hydration levels, your hormones,
Mm.
your body fat, so muscle to fat ratio. So it's obviously going to be way less accurate for us women, which is
Mhm.
frustrating, but like I said, I think as these devices keep getting developed and science is now being more trending towards wanting to study female anatomy and physiology,
Yep.
I think they're just gonna get better as they keep
Cuz
getting.
they've figured out that we have money too.
Yeah.
So,
We matter as well,
right?
so we
Yeah.
also want to measure and get
Right.
geeky on these things, so,
Right.
but the one thing that I really do love about, these devices is the heart rate piece
Uh-huh.
because, I mean, so, I have the Apple and the Aura, and I'll kind of go down, it's a little bit farther down, but, so these devices, not only do they track your activity level, the one thing that I also really love and use a lot is the sleeping quality and the
Mm.
readiness scores.
Okay.
So they did an accurate there was a study that they did, they tested several of these devices, and for the sleep wake detections, actually the Apple and the Aura um rated really high on
Huh.
the scale. So Aura, Whoop, and the one that I wasn't super familiar with, and I think it's only specifically for sleep, is the Somfit. I don't know if you use that in
No.
practice.
Uh-uh. No, I haven't heard of that
I
one.
believe it's literally a head device. It goes on your forehead. So I don't think anybody's going to be walking around with that, but I don't think you are meant to. I think it's literally just for sleep. And
Okay. Mhm.
it's supposed to detect your a little bit more accurate sleep awake
Okay.
time. So
Okay.
that one rates the highest as far as your sleeping stuff, but
Mhm.
Apple and Aura actually rated pretty high on the list. Aura
Yeah.
Whoop was 89% accuracy and Apple was 86%. So
Oh, nice.
that's
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I actually wear both sleeping most nights, the because I use my app, my watch, especially on the mornings that I wake up early as my alarm clock. It just buzzes my wrist.
Mhm.
So it's nice because then obviously I don't have an alarm going off and waking up the whole house. But
Right. Yeah.
but it I should actually compare my sleep from last night on my Apple Watch to my Aura, but, I've really liked that. It'll detect levels of sleep too. I did,
Okay.
at one point check the differences between my REM, light, and deep sleep based on my Apple and my Aura,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like the Aura was just way more accurate, for the few nights that I and it
Okay.
would be because I mean,
Mhm.
based on this study, it was a little bit better, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but all of these devices, I mean, because you're not in a actual you're not hooked up
Sleep
to all
lab.
these cables,
Mhm.
you're not gonna sleep in a sleep lab every night.
Right.
Obviously, they're gonna struggle with true accuracy of identifying REM and deep sleep,
Mhm.
so and sometimes they'll misclassify these as
Yeah.
light sleep or
Yeah.
wakefulness. So, you just kinda have to take everything honestly with a grain of salt,
Mhm.
and use data over time to see where your trends are. Um,
Yeah, so for can you speak a little bit to heart rate variability, because that's what I really that's one of the metrics that I think is good to look
yes.
at.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, heart rate variability obviously is what it is. It's like how is your heart rate beating over time? And then
Mhm.
if you are the lower your beats are per minute, the lower.
Well,
Sorry.
it's the revving up and coming
Yes.
back down, revving up
Right.
and coming back down. And the more you do that, the more you do that during the night, the better shape you're in.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So Aura uses a system called RMSSD, which I had to look up,
Oh,
and it's
okay.
called Root Mean Square of Successful Differences,
Okay.
which is more closely linked to the parasympathetic nervous system and
Okay.
potentially is better for like that lifestyle physiological changes. Whereas the
Okay.
Apple Watch uses the SDNN, which is standard deviation of NN intervals, and
Okay.
it's more of the parasympathetic activity. So Aura generally captures the HRV better and more consistently,
Okay.
especially during sleep.
Mhm.
And then Apple Watches are going to measure your HRV better during workouts or activities, so throughout the day. So if
Okay.
you want the best of both worlds, you're wearing both. So
Oh, that's what's
um,
happening. Okay.
yeah, but it is really fascinating because um,
Yeah.
uh, the HRV is I think it's becoming a little bit more popular that people are tracking that.
Mhm.
I'll be honest, I don't look at that super hardcore right now. I should get better at that. But but it is. I mean, if you're really wanting to optimize your activity and fitness levels, like you're looking
Mhm.
at your HRV variability.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
again, that SOMFIT was much better for sleeping, for the HRV, and then Aura Ring, Whoop. So the second one was Aura Ring.
Mhm.
That was better. And then the Whoop watch or the wrist, it doesn't have a watch on it. It's just a device. It doesn't have any screen on it. That was
Mhm.
third. Apple Watch was fourth, Garmin, and then the Polar Vantage 5 was also tested. So that's kind of how
Okay.
they ranked
Okay.
in that. But a lot of the users they really liked that sleep awake detection, and I
Mhm.
think that's really important when you're also looking at overall health. So, like when I'm working with my clients online or even in the gym, um, a lot of times they'll be like, "I'm just so tired. I just don't know why, I'm coming in and I just don't feel like I'm recovered." And a lot of
Mhm.
times I'm gonna like, and we talk about this all the time. What are the low hanging fruits? Obviously, there could be a deep dive in other symptoms and things that are going on,
Mhm.
but what are the low hanging fruits? Are you having consistent bedtime? Are you sleeping well?
Right.
Are you constantly waking up? Like those, how is your stress level? And so these devices can be really helpful in kind of honing in on maybe what that is actually looking like, because we've
Yeah.
talked about this as well. I think even in the heart rate, or sorry, heartburn episode, was the stress piece,
Yeah.
and how people don't know if they're actually stressed,
Yeah.
and they don't necessarily recognize maybe a change in their heart rate, or
Mhm.
if their nervous system is fluctuating. And so these
Right.
devices can be helpful in honing in and be like, "Oh my gosh, as soon as I got into this meeting at work, my heart rate just skyrocketed,
Mm. Mhm.
and I had no idea that I was under so much anxiety and stress." And so
Yeah.
you can be like, "Okay, maybe before I go into this meeting, I do some short, quick breath work to kind of
Mhm.
calm down and bring my body down into that rest and digest state before going into something that might cause." So those are things that you can just start
Yeah, that's
honing in
good.
on,
Mhm.
and um, being more aware of. And you know, it kind of goes back into learning your body better, and
Mhm.
knowing where you truly are in space, instead of just kind of hoping you
Yeah.
kind of have that data. And it's like when we're working out, instead of just going in, doing the workout, saying, "Oh, I don't know, 100 pounds on bench sounds good today. I don't know if I could do more." No, you have the data written down. You have that, okay,
Right.
last week I did 115 for 5 reps. I can easily try to match
Mhm.
that. Or maybe, you're taking out the emotion of the
Right.
data,
Yeah.
of
Oh,
of how you're feeling, and you're actually
mhm.
putting some facts, pen to paper. So,
Yeah, that's good.
overall, I think these devices can be really helpful. Now, if you're somebody that is high anxiety,
Me
data
too.
stresses you out,
That's what I was
um,
waiting for. Yes.
and you're like, "Oh my gosh, my Aura ring tells me I didn't sleep really good last night, and I just cannot come to work out today." And
Yeah.
but really, if you actually sat there and checked in with yourself, okay,
Mhm.
maybe my sleep wasn't the best quality, but however, maybe moving my body and maybe not going max effort, but just actually moving my body
Mhm.
potentially might actually help me in the long run, especially with that, maybe what maybe my day is gonna look like.
Yeah,
So maybe you're
absolutely.
going into some big meetings, and you just need to kind of move the body, get some blood flowing into the muscles and brain, and you're
Yeah.
actually better off. So, at the end of the day, I think my takeaway on all this is they're a very helpful tool,
Mhm.
and just like with other thing that we've talked about on the podcast, it's another tool in the toolbox. So it's not the end all be all. I'm not taking it as my, Bible, or,
Mhm.
whatever. Um, but over time, especially as you wear them, maybe over the next course of months or years, you can start seeing a trend. And that's the other nice
Mhm.
thing is, especially with, like, I know the Aura, it'll start looking at your trends over time, and you can literally pull up graphs of, like, okay, over the last year, these were your trends. And every year it'll actually send you like your data, and
Yeah.
it'll be like, for this last year, this is what you looked like, and these were the months, or these were the weeks that we noticed, you were in extra restorative state. And that could have been like, oh yeah, that's the week I went on vacation. I didn't have the world on my shoulders.
Right.
And I
Right.
disconnected from basically life. Um, so being able to use that over time, and it's just like
Mhm.
using the scale. I don't use the scale for knowing if I'm doing a good job or not as the only metric. it's a tool in the toolbox. I'm looking at other
Yeah.
things. So, I'm looking at sleep, stress, I'm looking at recovery of workouts. So, if I'm starting to really just feel fatigued and tired and my muscles are constantly sore,
Mhm.
I'm struggling to do weight that, you know, um, do weight that typically would have been totally doable, then
Yeah.
I probably need to take a step back and be like, okay, it's time for me to, or maybe I'm getting injured,
Mhm.
lots of injuries. That's probably a big sign that I need to take a step back, do some deload weeks, and just kind of go through some motions instead of trying to constantly push the
Yeah.
weight in the gym.
Well,
And it's also time to work on like recovery at home, making sure my nutrition is on point, making sure
mhm.
that I'm getting enough minerals and electrolytes.
Yeah. So I wanted to take you back a little bit. In terms of like energy expenditure, caloric burn,
Yeah.
which I don't think you mentioned this. Which of them were accurate? Because I feel like a lot of people use these things for calorie burn, like to
Hmm.
determine their basal metabolic rate, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think they're very accurate. Is that what you found?
Yeah, so they showed about a 20 to 30% error margin
Mhm.
on the energy expenditure.
Mhm.
So kind of going back to why your husband or your male partner at the gym doing the
Mhm.
same exact workout burns hundreds of more calories than you do, and you're like, what the crap, what gives? I must not be
Yeah.
pushing very hard. Well, no, there's a 20 to 30% error margin, and
Yeah.
then going back to what we originally said, these devices are male based on a male physiology, so
Right.
that's going to skew the effort
Yeah.
as well.
Well, and and I want people to be careful with what they hear because, I don't want anybody thinking that, oh, I'm burning way more calories than my aura says that I am.
Yeah.
Because that's probably not the case either, to be honest. I
Mm-mm.
think they're, at least what I've read is that they're very much like the machines at the gym, right? Like you get on the Stairmaster and it says you burn this many hundreds of calories for your 20-minute effort expenditure, and it's not anywhere close to that in
Mm,
reality. And
yeah,
so yeah, I would not use these things for energy expenditure. I would not use them to determine your normal caloric burn during the day,
yeah.
at all.
No, and that's where, like, you can kinda just start using it as a data of, like, trends over time. I
Mhm.
will say, that I have also read the ones that you actually, so I used to, when I first started working out, I bought a Polar watch,
Mm.
and it was strictly just for calorie burn, but I had a heart rate device around my chest.
Okay. Was it Polaris or
Oh, yeah,
Polar?
Polaris, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
and
sounds
I do think
familiar.
those are a little bit more accurate because the device
Yeah.
is a little closer to the heart, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of, like, athletes, if they're truly tracking wanting to get as accurate as possible, they'll actually have that heart rate device around their
Mhm.
chest, and that is a little bit, more accurate. But, if you're only relying on, like, a wrist or a ring device, there's gonna be that 20 to 30% error margin.
And that is huge.
It
Like,
is huge.
that is
Yeah,
huge. Yeah.
and I will say, from what I've read too, and I think we mentioned it, but the Apple Watch, and I would say the Garmin watch are going to be more, but they're going to be better for real time activity. So
Oh, yeah.
again, at workouts,
Okay.
heart rate during a workout, calorie burn, although like we mentioned, it's going to be a 20 to 30% error margin.
Mhm.
And then I do know, and I think Apple is getting better, but the Garmin is
Yeah.
GPS driven, so it's going to be way more accurate than the Apple Watch. Although I believe the newer Apple Watches are maybe doing GPS, depending on
Mhm.
the device. But Garmin is typically like if you have a runner, like they're wearing a Garmin.
Yeah.
They're just way
Yeah.
more accurate for the mileage piece
Yeah.
of it. So and then like the Aura Ring, we've mentioned this before. It's better for that sleep and stress piece,
Okay.
um, and activity patterns. So I think the Aura, how I've been using it, I've been using it primarily for my sleep and
Mhm.
recovery scores,
Mhm.
and then I haven't really been using it as much for my activity score.
Yeah.
And then I will say this was one big eye-opening thing when I first had both devices. I checked my steps on my watch versus my Aura Ring,
Uh-huh.
and the Aura Ring was literally almost double the steps versus
Wow.
at the end of the day versus my Apple
Oh
Watch.
my gosh. Okay.
And so that's another thing. So again, it's a tool in the toolbox. I kind of look at my Apple Watch versus my Aura, and I kind of just kind of get a feel for what the trend is like.
Yeah. No, I think that's really important. And so I didn't have a whole lot to contribute to this conversation because I've always wanted an aura, but I just don't want to spend the money there
Yeah.
for what you get. And
Yeah.
so but my feeling is like if you are a person that one is motivated by data on a page
Mhm.
and you like your spreadsheets and you like all of this, then I think this is great because these people are data hounds, and I am that, but not in this space. So
Right.
you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
The other person that I like these for is are those people who like to check the box,
Mhm.
eh, who like to get that emotional response from, oh, I can't wait to check my sleep thing. And it's not necessarily like I love to put data in a spreadsheet, but it's that you get that little hit of dopamine when you
Mm,
get up and you look at, okay, what was my sleep score? Or you get that little hit of dopamine when you look down and oh my gosh, I'm getting close on my steps. And that's where I like the step counter aspect,
mhm.
because if I look down and I'm like, holy cow, I've been sitting in this chair all day. I have like 2,000 steps in a whole
Mhm.
day. Like I need to get up and move. That is motivating to me.
Yeah, and I love the Apple Watch for that. I don't know if
Yeah.
yours does it, but, you can set it where it'll buzz you every hour.
It does buzz me. I don't know how it's set up. I just took it out of the package and threw it on. So it's got factory settings. I don't know what those are, but yeah, it'll buzz me periodically and I'll look down and it'll say time to get moving. And
Yes.
so yeah.
Yeah. So those are
Mhm.
good, like, little reminders, especially
Yeah.
if you do
Mhm.
have an office job
Right.
where you're sitting at a desk and like,
Mhm.
before you know it, it's 3 o'clock and you haven't even left your desk.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
for sure.
I also like it, well, so one I think it's also important to not, again, solely rely on these devices to
Mhm.
determine whether what your activity level should be that day,
Yeah.
because there have been mornings where I wake up, I don't even look at my app to see what my sleep score or readiness is, and I'm
Mhm.
like, "Man, I think this is gonna be a good workout day," and then later on in the day, I'm like, "Oh, I should check and see what my Aura sleep score was," and I'll look it up, and it's like, "Take it easy, you did not have good
Oh,
sleep," and,
yeah.
be aware, "You probably need to rest today," and I was like, I legit just had the best workout. Like,
Yeah.
I just had a
Yeah.
really awesome session,
Mhm.
and my Aura Ring is telling me I should feel otherwise. And it
Yeah.
has been other than that. So, like, there's been days, like, I legit say, "Oh my gosh, I don't think I got good sleep last night. I feel exhausted this morning." And I wake
Mhm.
up and it says, like, "What activity do you wanna take on today? Like, are you gonna climb a
Go
mountain?"
for it.
And I'm like, "No." Like,
Right.
I feel trashed. So,
Mhm.
again, they are not the end all be all. You should not
Yeah,
look at it
agreed.
and say, "Yep, my" if you need an excuse, maybe that's a good reason, but, to be
Maybe.
honest, this is where, like, you can start tracking data over time and
Yeah.
start checking in with your own, um
Biofeedback.
thank you, biofeedback,
Mhm. Yeah.
and getting to learn your own body really well because,
Yeah.
again, they're just devices. They're not super, super accurate. I don't think that they're ever going to be, even close to 100% accurate. I think we're gonna get closer,
Yeah.
but, again, they should not be a decision maker for you.
Mhm.
But if you did wake up and you're like, "I feel like crap," or the Oura Ring too will track your body temperature, which I do love.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
and so sometimes I'll wake up and they're like, "Your
Yeah.
body temperature was, really high, like, you probably need to, take it easy," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do feel really off today." Um,
Mhm.
so that can be helpful,
Yeah.
as well. So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, do what's right for you. Again, like
Mhm.
Andrea, she uses hers for steps, and things like that. And then if you are somebody that wants that data and you really
Yeah.
wanna kinda track a trend over time, I think that's really,
Mhm.
really cool.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
let me just say one more thing. So
yeah.
in our peri slash
Mhm,
menopausal women, heart rate
mhm,
will go up as you head into perimenopause and menopause. And so we want that down. That's a marker of fitness. And so
mhm.
you can actually, that's one more thing that I like about it, is that you can track your resting heart rate over time, or you can simply put your fingers in a pulse point and see and count. Right? If you got a second hand and a watch, you can do this without any fancy devices. But if you want to just look down and say, oh, my resting heart rate is 78 and it used to be 92. So, that is headed in the right direction. So it does give good feedback in that regard too.
Yep,
Hmm.
exactly. Well,
Well,
if you
Ashley, thank you.
yeah.
Hey, I just want to say thank you for doing this research, because I know very little. I know that, like, the Aura Ring, I think is a super sexy little device. It's super cute.
Mhm.
Um, it's good data. I've always wanted to try one, but just haven't wanted to spend the money. And after this, I think that I will continue to gaze at them from afar. Um, so yeah, yeah, there are lots of places in the fitness space to throw your resources, and you got to know what kind of person you are, and if you're going to be supremely motivated by something like this might be a good investment for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you have a device that you've loved, I would love to hear
Mhm.
from you.
Mhm.
And what maybe things that you've learned about yourself, whether you're able to improve your recovery or
Yeah.
sleep habits. Because we've talked about this so many times, is like that whole saying that sleep when you're dead is
Mhm.
trash.
Oh
You've
my
got
gosh.
to prioritize your sleep and your stress and manage your stress.
Yeah.
So if that's something that you've been trying to work on, one of these devices might be really helpful for
Yeah.
that. And
Great.
so if you found a device helpful, or if you've maybe moved away from a device, I would also
Mhm.
be curious to talk to you,
Yeah, for sure.
um, because maybe there's insight there as well. So
Mhm.
as always, we hope that you found this episode helpful, and the biggest compliment that we can receive is you sharing and giving a rating on whatever app you are listening on.
Yeah.
And if you want to get in touch with us, we always love to hear from you. Our contact information is in the show notes, and we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye. Welcome to the AA Podcast, our little corner of the web where we are not afraid to discuss tough questions like,
When did nutrition, health, movement, and stress management become alternative medicine?
where we embrace challenges in all aspects of life to become healthier and stronger versions of ourselves.
And where food and movement are the best kinds of medicine, and cooking meals at home is a revolutionary act.